Welcome, thank you for joining us. This video is a seminar on retaining and developing remarkable people for the healthcare workforce, and is part of a larger series on building a high-performing, remarkable workforce in Colorado Springs and beyond for healthcare. We're proud to have CoreVirtus as our sponsor today. CoreVirtus provides a wide range of innovative science-based solutions for developing, engaging, and hiring top talent that integrates a company's brand and culture and has helped over hundreds of companies get business results and retain and develop top people. I'm delighted to be here today with Tom Dakotas, the co-founder of CoreVirtus, as well as Janet Burns, CEO of Sunny Vista. Janet, could you tell us a little bit about Sunny Vista Living Center and your role?
The Sunny Vista Living Center began in 1911 as an endowment from Marjorie Palmer Watt, the daughter of General Palmer. It started as a TB sanatorium, and through the years after World War II, we turned into what people now recognize as a nursing home. In 1984, we expanded to independent living, and then in 2012, we moved into a new building and expanded our skilled nursing care and our short-term rehab. We're now in the process of building an assisted living and memory care, so we'll have the full continuum of care for older adults.
That's excellent. And I know you've done so much in the areas of retention and performance. What got you started you thinking about hiring and performance issues?
Well, we are a standalone nonprofit, and it's difficult with the market, and especially in healthcare, to be able to recruit and retain the right people. And it's especially important to have retention because you're taking care of people's lives. You're creating their lives. So we were having challenges that way, so we had to find a way to get better at it.
Exactly. And Tom, you have over 30 years experience and beyond in the area of performance and retention. Where would you recommend people start when thinking about these issues?
I think with how they think about it, in our experience, a lot of enterprises focus on two things, turnover and the difficulty of recruiting, when they ought to be focusing on retention. So making that hole in the bucket where people are falling out smaller, so that when you do that, of course, the recruiting problems go away, the turnover problems go away, the patient experience gets better. When we look at it, we start with getting an idea of the scope of the problem. How much turnover is there? What's the nature of the turnover? What's the percentage, roughly, of people who are leaving that you wish you had kept, and people who are leaving that you're glad they're gone? Because they're two different problems. One, the latter one's a hiring problem. The former one's an employee experience problem. And then after you get an idea of those numbers, ask yourself, is there any reason for it to be different now? Is this our history? Has turnover been at this rate for some time, or has something happened that made it bump up? For example, frequently when the economy changes, turnover rates change. So, that's where I would start, is in simply how you think about the problem, and then how you understand it and its scope and its nature.
That's excellent. Janet, when you were thinking about some of those holes in the buckets, what did you discover with Sunny Vista?
What we discovered is that in the clinical area, nurses and certified nursing assistants, a lot of that was turnover. Mostly, I think, people that we really didn't want to leave, and part of it was their experience, and it's a difficult job, and it's high stress, it's demanding, there's a lot of compliance issues and emotional issues when you're dealing with people who are sick and older. The non-clinical people also have a lot of compliance issues. There's huge amounts of paperwork that we have to comply with, and just to be spot on that is difficult to keep up with because it's always changing. And as a standalone, we don't have a corporation that's telling us how to do that. So I think just the stress of their jobs made it more difficult to keep people.
Absolutely. And so once, Tom, you've identified those areas and those demands of each position, what do you recommend people do after they've done that initial analysis?
Well, I think they should start asking themselves questions. Why should someone want to work here? And, for example, you used earlier the term remarkable employer. What does that mean? What does it mean for your enterprise? What would you have to do to be one? How remarkable are you now? And what you're really talking about is the nature of the employee experience. What's happening to them at work that would push them away or make them want to stay. One of the big problems that we find is that employers use labels, remarkable employer, but they don't drill down to say, okay, here is the specific experience, paragraph, 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 that people ought to want to work in and be a part of our organization. Same thing on the patient side. When you ask a hospital administrator, CEO of any enterprise, what do you want to do with your customers or your patients? They'll say, I want to exceed expectations. The reality is they don't know what the expectations are. So why not start with setting them? What is it that you want to deliver on a consistent basis, and how do you get employees to deliver that who want to deliver it? When you do that, retention goes up, turnover goes down.
That's excellent. So Janet, you actually went through a process partnering with Tom as well as the other Corvertis co-founder Marta Earhart to define the patient experience and define other elements of the community that is Sunny Vista. Would you like to talk about that a little bit in detail?
Yes, we were really thrilled with it. It was a process to help us with our vision, and we actually called it Living Sunny Vista, and it was an amazing process. We had people that came together, and as Tom said, we really did drill down, and we got information from their team members, and we defined in great detail what it is we want to do. And the thing that's great about it is now we have a common language. We have something that we can talk to each other about, and we know what we're talking about. We know the goal. We can say, this is Living Sunny Vista because we've made promises to our team members, and our team members have made promises to each other. And it has just been fantastic. It's changed the way we do business. And I think it's definitely helped retention, but it's also helped the patient experience quite a bit.
That's excellent. And actually related to the patient experience, I know one decision you made in creating this document was to decide to use the term client instead of patient.
Yes, exactly. And it's because patients, it's somebody who's ill, somebody who's sick. Our clients really defines more of somebody that we are there to please, somebody that we're there to help. And it's those terms, and using the term team member instead of a staff member. It is a team member. And so that terminology is common to all of us, and it helps remind us what our vision is, and it helps us define that vision also.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So having that shared definition of success, once you understand that, how do you go about hiring people that can live that definition of success?
Well, you have to, I think you look at three levels at least. The first one is values. What are the values that characterize, in the case of Sunny Vista and its leadership team? What do they believe about people and about care and so on? That's sort of the philosophical side. Then what is the client experience in detail? And then once you do that, you can start drilling down and you say, okay, what are the competencies? If we hire somebody, what do they need to be able to know, learn, do, have the experience of in order to be a match for those job tasks, but also to match our values and beliefs, because more often than not, that's why people leave organizations, is not so much the work they do, but the conflict in beliefs and values. And then the third thing is to measure them. Measure the characteristics of the employees coming in, relate that to performance success as you've defined it in your mission or with your clients or with other team members, and make sure that these assessments, this hiring process, really makes a difference. And difference, what does that mean? That might mean that retention goes up. It might mean that compliance, paperwork is better, done more often. Your inspections are better. Your client satisfaction is higher. You know, all the things that tell you that you're getting a better staff and doing a better job of taking care of your client.
Absolutely. Janet, what did you see and once you started using this hiring system that was based on your end goals and the experience you wanted to achieve for your clients?
Well, actually, in the first year, we saw a 26% reduction in turnover, which is huge for us. As Tom said, retention is one of the key challenges that we have. And we also found that we hired better people. The hiring process was more streamlined. It was more consistent. We have different departments and you have different people doing the hiring, so it was kind of all over the board. So after we started using this process, it became more cohesive, and we were able to they helped us find out what is important to us to have, what qualities in a team member are we looking for, and the hiring process is geared towards that. So we were much more able to get people that fit with us and fit with our values and what we're there for.
That's excellent.
It was wonderful, yes.
And in addition to hiring, you also started doing different, what we would call engagement efforts to look at the team member experience once it was defined. Would you like to talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, one of the things that we had to do first is find out what the team member experience was. So we did a survey, and it wasn't like a regular employee survey. I mean, it was a survey that actually looked at trust and, all the different elements that we want to define as part of our experience. So respect, how is it working with your coworkers? It was very detailed but yet easy to take, because they could rate on a scale of 1 to 5. How do you feel about this? So a lot of it was about how they feel, what their experience was, and that helped us define what areas we had opportunities in. So we could work on those areas. And from the first time we did the team member experience, and then we went through the vision process, to the second time we took the team member experience, we had huge improvement. And it was all because we focused our efforts on what issues the team members saw as something that they thought could be better.
So having that consistent follow-up every 6 months of doing a survey, doing some focus groups to see how the team member experience is evolving and aligning with your vision for success.
Yes.
Excellent. So, Tom, in thinking about the team member experience, could you explain a little bit more about how that's important for driving success?
Sure. If you think about it, it doesn't make sense that you're going to have unhappy or dissatisfied employees pleasing or satisfying clients. It just doesn't happen. What many years of experience has told us is that the upper limit to the quality of the client, the patient, the customer experience is the experience of the employees. And so, it's if this one is way low, this one is not going to be way high, or else you're measuring badly. So, where you start, and also why you need the details. If you look at something's wrong with your patient experience, or in this case of Sunny Vista, their client's experience, there are no knobs to turn on clients and patients. All those knobs are over with the employees. Are they getting clear direction? Are they being well trained? Are they being supported for success? Do they feel like they belong and are significant to Sunny Vista or wherever they're working? And when you start looking at those things, you say, oh, this is happening inconsistently with our patients. And I look over here and I see I have high turnover. training programs aren't being completed because we need to staff, and so we don't have time to train, and it all becomes a big mess. So you have to interrupt it, but I think how you interrupt it is by, what the visioneering process that Janet alluded to does is pretty simple. It just details intentions. What do we as a leadership team want to stand for? What do we want our reputation to be? What are the results we seek? How do we get there? What are the kinds of experiences that will create those results and that reputation? And then finally, how do we keep ourselves from kidding ourselves? That's where measurement and analytics come in, because a lot of times you'll see people create a vision, put it up on the wall, and then wonder why that's as far as it goes. It's because it's not detailed enough and they don't measure it. And if you care about it, you'll measure it, and if you measure it, you'll find opportunities to improve.
Excellent. So, Janet, you've combined the hiring piece with a vision that's foundational to Sunny Vista, as well as different surveys, analytics, measurement, and ways of enforcing and living the vision with your team and your clients. What are your next steps, or how are you going to keep moving this forward, especially as you expand?
Well, one of the things we do is all new team members are introduced to the vision, and we have them participate in it. They read parts of it out loud, and they talk about it, and the leadership talks about it with them. And so they, right off the bat, get a clear definition of what our values are and what we expect of them and what they expect of us and what they can expect from each other, too. And even during that first initial orientation phase, that's the beginning of them feeling like they belong at Sunny Vista. And I think they come out of just that initial part feeling like they're part of something bigger. And then we also talk about it. We use terminology like we're living Sunny Vista. And so when we use that terminology, we all know what we're talking about, and we remind each other, this is what our value is. This is why I'm doing this way, because that's our value. And then we also, occasionally we have an all-staff, kind of every team member, and then we have we discuss the vision, and we kind of go back to it a little bit, because it's something that, we live with every day, but to really read it over again, it really does inspire people over and over again. So it keeps it alive.
Tom, what are some other ways that companies can keep their vision alive once especially in healthcare?
Well, certainly teaching it regularly. That's where you hear the old cliches about leadership: walk the talk, be a role model. Walk the talk comes from, are you doing what you said you were going to do? Do you live this vision? So that's where management by example, leadership by example comes in. I think another big part of it is accountability. Holding not just supervisors, but hourly employees accountable in the vision that Janet's talking about. They're not just promises to team members that create their experience. There are promises from, there are expectations that are set. They're not simply a word or a label, they're a paragraph. This is what is expected of you. That's what you hold the people accountable for. When you do that, they understand, one, that accountability isn't a negative process. It really says to the employee, you count. Mm-hmm. Why would I say something to you if it didn't make a difference? So I'm telling you that you count. I need you to step up. I need you to do teamwork. I need you to get after it or have a sense of urgency. Well, those are just words. With a lot of people, particularly when they're new into the workforce, you have to tell them what that means. What are the behaviors that I'll be engaging in that tell you that I'm stepping up, that I'm practicing teamwork, that I'm getting after it, that I have a sense of urgency? And I think it's all of that. I think one of the main things that Janet alluded to is the way they do orientation, that they bring people in and they take the time to say, this is who we are. So, at the end of the day, there are kind of three things you do. First off, if you're going to stand for something, you have to say it. You have to educate people. Then the next thing you have to do is you have to integrate it into everything you do. So why Sunny Vista changed its hiring process was not to change its hiring process, but to bring it into line with the kind of culture they were trying to create. So that's integrating it and training it. Her orientation is an example of integrating the vision into how they do things. And then last thing, measurement and proof of the pudding, so to speak. Are we getting the results we set out to get, both financially and in terms of perhaps patient satisfaction, patients' willingness to refer, actual referrals that come from existing clients and patients, employees who stay, get good at their jobs, refer us to friends and families, and you start getting that cycle happening, all of a sudden recruitment is no longer a problem.
Janet, are there any other results? So I know you've done a lot with the hiring piece, and we talked about the 26% reduction in turnover. Are there other results that you've seen as integrating this vision with hiring and engagement?
I think the biggest thing that's evident is just the atmosphere. People are happy there. The team members are happy, and when they're happy, our clients are happy. And we actually create their life. They are there, they're living there. So if we come in crabby or upset, it makes their day bad. But when we treat each other with respect and we have a workforce that's happy and content with their job, they are just much more cheerful, and it makes our clients' life a whole lot better. And when you walk in, somebody is always there greeting you. If they see you in the hall, hi, have you been helped? Can I help you? And it's just evident walking through to see that people are happy and satisfied with their job.
Thank you, Janet. I know I've experienced the sunny atmosphere at Sunny Vista from that shared vision and set of definitions and beliefs about success. And thank you, Tom, as well, for joining us here today and sharing your experience. We hope this was useful to you to hear about how having that shared vision and how sound analytics-based hiring practices, as well as understanding the team member experience, can help you build a remarkable organization in healthcare. And please feel free to connect with us online or at one of our events, networking events, to share the wealth of this series that we're putting together.